till I came here.
Dead Space. It's a good game. More specifically, the remake. This is not the old game. Played the old one long time ago on the PS3. This is good. I was actually really excited for this remake because it's a classic. It's one of many good PS3 games I played back then. It's just... yeah, games like that really can really define a generation, like PS3, whatever. You know, it could be one of those very few games that come to mind when I think of that era or whatever. I'll never forget the first time I was exposed to Dead Space. I went to a friend's house from school. Lives like in the middle of nowhere. I think we walked or biked there. I rode my bike because he already had a bike. He's like a BMX guy. But we've always kind of been friends, but never really hung out. Or we know the same people, like all these things. It finally just kind of happened one day. I think it's always cool when... especially someone that's good company and that's funny and cool and interesting, and it's always kind of nice. And I had a crush on his sister, so there's that. But we went to his house. It was so worth it. We had a good time. Smoked a cigar. He's just got a big house. You never really know people until you go to their house. But one of only probably a few things we did, it kind of went by quick. It was like in one night, or I don't even really remember everything, but he had this big ass TV, and he's playing Dead Space, showing it to me or something, whatever. And I just thought it looked like the coolest game I've ever seen. I was like, dude, what is this? This is right up my alley. You got violence and gore and aliens and quick and fast and the music and the spaceship and the armor and the guns, and I'm just like, bruh. And this was during a time where it's like I was gaming here and there, but it wasn't really nearly as relevant as like today. But I kind of just gamed for fun, whatever I found or liked or just get it. It was such a here and there random thing. I don't even think I had a PS3 at the time. I probably still had like a PS2 or something, but so basically between the whole day, the whole night, this kind of out of this very distant experience, you know, away from town, this really cool house, had a good time. That was such a cool way to get exposed to this game. I feel like every game kind of has its story, or like how you got introduced to it or whatever. This one's definitely up there, because most games you might find, you probably found through like a friend or something. But this wasn't simply just going to someone's house that was nearby, or you've been there before, or you know, this game looks cool. This was like epic and memorable and unforgettable, like just this game and the size of it. And when you think of space, it's really big and expansive, and it reminded me of the very house I was at. It was kind of this trippy, like, I don't know, it was interesting. But yeah, eventually got the game myself. When I did get a PS3, I played Dead Space 1 and 2 and 3. 3 is actually my favorite, to be honest. The only one that actually scared me though was 2, but yeah, maybe if there's ever a remake of 2 and 3, I don't know. The thing with Dead Space 1 and this remake is like, I like it and it's cool, but it's one of those original games that, you know, oh, it's cool and this and that, blah blah blah. But like, I don't know, when I think of this game, I don't really think of the story or the plot. It's like, it's a guy in a spaceship, man. We've seen it a billion times. What could be so possibly different this time? Like, granted, it's all interesting, sure, and it's done in its own way, and the characters and the design of everything and the blah blah blah. It's basically like a good it's kind of a more definable Doom. I love stuff like this. Alien, Doom, space horror. Event Horizon. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I get it's the first game in the entry series and all these things. I think it's the most boring and uninteresting one, personally. Like, thankfully, I think the first game of all of them needed a remake, because I feel like this 2 and 3 are just a little bit more entertaining and fun, and yes, it doesn't retain that originality and all the things that make Dead Space 1 good, but it just kind of amps it up more. And that's just what I like. I don't know. It doesn't always have to be like, go back to going back to your roots and where it all started, and all these things are good to do, but within reason. But I think this game needed a remake because it was so plain and like simple, and there wasn't really much to it. I mean, it's the first game. That's kind of how it is. It's like, first things are usually really good because of the status of having seniority and OG and the GOAT and all these things. But it's usually kind of the most plain, flat. I don't know. There wasn't many moments that I was like, or like, ooh, I'll never forget that, or like, you know, I don't really get jump scared ever. It just doesn't really stand out that much to me. It's still a good game, but cutscenes are cool.
Up there! Oh God! Ken! No! Daniel, get the doors open! Get out of there! Kendra, the doors!
Yeah. It's tough because like the game is presented so well, and I want to say when I originally played this, it was on an even worse monitor than what I'm using now. I'm pretty sure. So having a good monitor definitely helps. But yeah, the only issue with this game is it's a remake. Remakes are always so like, they're either graphically way too uptuned, upscaled, whatever. You can always see these like trails of like, it's so cranked up. Like every remake I've played basically is, Resident Evil is a great example. I see it all the time, man. It's never this smooth, solid, kind of steady, stable. There's always like this like graphical overhaul of like, and you can tell the difference between like when there's sparks flying, it's kind of slow, but it kind of looks cool. Like it's very framey, but like it reminds me of like stop motion or something. It's some of these newer games are so like they're either trying way too hard or I mean it depends on the game too. They're not all like that, but there are some. I've only really noticed it in remakes. It's not even necessarily new games specifically, but like ever since next gen came out, it's just been this like I've never seen those things before. PS4, none of that. It's just games are so like, I don't know what it is too, if there's like this wall of, these games have always looked good and always had great detail, but it's always been done in a way where it's proper. But yeah, like when you're moving, it's really hard to explain. And one may only notice it here and there. Again, a lot of it depends on one setup too, but I don't even think it's that. It's just it's you're gonna see it no matter what. But I don't know. Just kind of tired of these games looking so good, but there's always this weird drawback, and there's like a catch to it. But it still looks great. Like it's not awful or anything. Like the lighting is really good. It's probably the best thing the game has going for it is the lighting. It's really spoopy and dark, and the gameplay is smooth. The cutscenes look good. I mean, it's all kind of there. It's a nice package. But between like the graphical stuff and then the you know, the story, I don't know. It's kind of one of those games where it's like I enjoyed while I was playing it, and the gunplay and wandering around, exploring, blah blah blah. But by the time I got done with it, it was kind of just one of those things where it's like, oh, that's cool. Now what? Next thing. Move on. And it sucks too, because I really like this stuff. It's right up my alley. I've played the original one. This wasn't like my introduction to Dead Space. But, yeah, and I think as long as the game is, and maybe you play it for a long period of time, beat it within a week, whatever, it's gonna, for me it took about 50 plus hours. So I definitely took my time and explored and backtracked, and I wanted all the guns and ammo and the grab as many collectibles, all these things. Yeah, it's a game that'll eat up a lot of time. I mean, it's very accurate in the way that, you know, this is a big ship and you're really kind of getting into every door and everything that you can get into. Yeah, you definitely feel like the claustrophobia, the space madness. It's just another door, another hallway. But that's kind of what what I had an issue with too is just it was really repetitive. Like there's only so many different areas, which when you did see those different areas, it was cool, but like it's a spaceship. You're not on planet Earth, dude. You're not free. You're not. You feel that sense of dread. You no sunlight, dude. It's space. It's dark. It's cold. It's you know, it's just you killing a bunch of alien demons trying to get the heck out of there. That's literally about it. I don't know. Here's the thing, it's good in its raw form. It's good in its most basic foundation, its most, you know, out there way to kind of look at it. But it's tough when I compare it to 2 and 3, even though this is the remake, but it's still Dead Space 1. It's just not as fun. I don't know. It's not supposed to be fun. But it's one of those things too where they're almost trying too hard. Which for me isn't a bad thing. I want games to do that. I want games to push the limits, all these things. But this is like, you know, ooh, Dead Space, and we're like the horror game of the year, and or game of the century, and overly loud music, and the constant jump scares. I mean, it's a scary space game. It's not really like, ooh, Dead Space. It's kind of just... Like, granted, I like it more than Callisto Protocol. I think Dead Space is the original space horror game. I think it's a lot scarier than Doom. I mean, there's always Doom 3, but... It's so good at what it does. But what it does is so... It's kind of just like, you know... It's cool. That's about it. The gameplay is cool. Yeah, I mean, it goes from finding the game through a friend, through getting it myself, through playing all 3 of them, growing up as I was a teenager back then. I might have been an early adult too. Because I don't remember getting a PS3 till pretty late, to be honest, but when I did get around to it, I definitely did, but I think it just took a while. Either way, it's been a long time, 10 plus years, since I've played a lot of remakes that have been coming out, including this one. So there's the nostalgia factor, the memories, the smoothness of the game. It was just nice to play a good, working, solid, good game that I was biased towards. It's not just like a random IP that, oh, this looks okay. I play so much stuff that, you know, I'll be honest, half the games I play, I don't really like at all. I just kind of like try them out. Something to play, whatever. It's nice to have something that I can relate to and identify with, and there's not probably only about half the games I play, if not less than that, I can really say that about. You got your next gen. I mean, it's just it's a good time. You know, I pre-ordered this day 1, whatever. It was great. You can't not play it. I mean, if you like horrors, that alone is you know, you're golden right there. If you like space, if you like aliens and demons and cool looking armor suits, and you really can't go wrong. I mean, look at the game title, is so official, Dead Space. How cooler can you get than that? Like, even Doom, that could mean all kinds of things, and granted, that's kind of a whole different, well, different-ish story, but it really does define that space horror genre. Like, this is the game for that. Period. And I love that it it does well what it represents. It does exactly what it's doing, what it wants, what it's trying to be. I mean, yeah, I'll say that, oh, I've seen this before, been there, done that. That's not a bad thing, but that's definitely something that's a part of the assessment, is like, it was nothing new to me. I wasn't like, oh. And it's not always about what's new and this and that, but that's the thing, it's either something new or something that they know is gonna work, a safe option. That's what this is. They know it's a safe option, people like it. This game got a remake, and it needed it, it deserved it. It's a good enough game. Or I think, you know, out of what games could have been, could get back out there into the world, this is definitely one of them. The only game I want remade more than anything is freaking Onimusha, but you know, whatever. Specifically like 2 and 3. But yeah, I think there's some games out there that don't really get the credit they deserve, but you know, I'm glad this one made it through. That I love when that happens, because that's when you know you're doing something right. You have good taste in games. You've played it back in the day when it actually counted and mattered, and it's not like, oh, I'm just now playing all these cool games. That would suck. There's been some games I've played nowadays that I probably wouldn't have mind playing back in the day, but I don't know. I didn't play everything. Like, I'm thankful for what I did play. Yeah, overall, solid game, can't go wrong. Safe choice. Bit of a throwback. Very well updated, looks great, feels great. Yeah, definitely up there in my even just recent most liked games, you know, ever. Like, if I had to pick like about a handful of games, like if I were to really look at it like on a list or something, this would for sure be up there. Top 5, 10 at least. I don't know about top 5, but definitely between, you know, anywhere from that to top 10. Yeah, it's just, if they make a Dead Space remake 2 and 3, I'm not against that at all. Are they gonna do that though? I don't know, because I feel like they put a lot into this one and they kind of made their point. I don't know if or why they would go further, because they don't really need to be honest. I think it's like, hey, this is Dead Space, this is the franchise, this was a game a long time ago, we get it. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't complain, that's for sure. But that's the thing, it wouldn't so much be like, oh, I want Dead Space 2 and 3 remade. it just kind of be like, oh, cool. Because once again, especially back in those days, like, it was fun to play, but it wasn't. I just don't know if this game has enough going on for it to kind of be this, like, this crazy thing. But, you know, it's still good nonetheless, so whatever. But yeah. Dead Space,